Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I advise and empower veterans that are transitioning, those in the federal space that are transitioning to rebrand their leadership identity. I do that by focusing on the ABCDs, and that's right. ABCDs are appearance, behaviors, communication skills, and your digital presence. I am a professional keynote speaker, a certified image consultant, personal brand guru, if you will, an author of 5 books. As you know, just go on Amazon, take a look, put my name in the search engine. And y'all, a proud United States Air Force veteran. After serving 30 years, I decided, hey, let's make these shows. And tonight is one of those shows. It is the Slay to Success show. And my little Quinn pen is starting to not pinning right, y'all. So I got to fix this up. Okay, here we go. So as you come into the show, please make sure that you let us know where you're streaming in from. Give us your name so we can give you a shout out. And tell us, hey, why are you stopping through or whatnot? What do you come here to listen for? Because I have a slay amazing guest, y'all. Okay, and we start from the word slay, and slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym that is used, all right, for anything you have in your life or in your leadership journey. And that's stay ready to be ready, lead out loud, a sense of community, and knowing you are built to last. So on this show, I bring in men and women, and we are talking about all the things leadership, wellness, mindset, some personal branding, and some business, all because we are on our own terms. We are striving, looking forward to living on our own terms. And guess what? When we do, all right, we are unstoppable. We bring out the best in what we do and how we do it. And I just get the pleasure of finding people. Okay, so the guest that I have tonight, y'all, I was in a conversation on LinkedIn. As you know, that is the platform that I am on every single day. And on LinkedIn, this guest, okay, our guest, he just got on there and he was like, gave a bunch of information about transition. I was like, hey, are you available to be on the Slay to Success Talk Show? And he's like, yes. All right. So I've got someone on LinkedIn that just says LinkedIn user. I don't know who you are. No picture. What we doing, y'all? Okay. We got to get the pictures out here so I know who to shout out to. But it says, hey, long overdue and joining. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Let me know who you are so I can give you a proper shout out. But you could be of all places and you decided that you want to stop in for this conversation. So I appreciate you. So who do we have tonight on the show, y'all? Well, tonight, y'all, I have my friend that I just met on LinkedIn, y'all, because, again, if you're not on LinkedIn, you might want to get there because sometimes you may be missing out on opportunities that you don't know that are even existent. So, as you're on your conversations in your journey to where you're trying to go or where you're going to be, you need to really think about how to put yourself out there. All right. So the guest that I have tonight is Henry Scott, and he is the fourth, and he is a U.S. Army veteran with over 20 years of service as a data systems engineer, where he led complex modernization efforts and supported global cyber missions. Yes, it's a lot. All right. He is now a business owner of a small veteran-owned real estate company dedicated to renovating distressed properties and helping veterans and first-time homeowners access affordable quality housing. He is also a proud husband, y'all, to an amazing Air Force social worker and father to 3 children, ages 18, 15, and 6. Now, he is the host of the Rise and Grind podcast. All right. So, as you know, I also have a podcast and it's called Rise and Slay. So, how ironic is that? Oh, yeah. I always find the like minded people, and I'm just so happy. I'm so grateful, y'all. So this show that he has, a podcast, is a show built on real conversations about resilience, about leadership, and overcoming life's toughest challenges. And this podcast inspires everyday people to embrace their journey, find their purpose, and living their life on their own terms. All right, so I just want to bring him to the stage so that way you all can meet him. So, hey, Henry.
Rochelle, how are you? How are
I'm
you?
great. How are you?
I am happy to be here. Happy to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Excited, excited.
Yeah. I'm very excited. And our LinkedIn user is Jennifer. And so she is amazing. She's actually slay amazing. Okay.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, so definitely connect with her as you're in your journey. But she is from NCMA Metro MD, which is a contracting body, if you will, of individuals. And I met her through another person's that also is in that community. So I helped volunteer a little bit for them. So I'm so happy that you're here, Jennifer. Thank you so much for stopping in. Appreciate you. So, you know, as we were talking on LinkedIn, and because we have so much in common, so tell us a little bit about your journey first, like a little bit about you, kind of how you got into the Army, and kind of walk us through that so we have a better understanding so we can get this conversation started.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Again, Rochelle, hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. And just to just kind of lay this out, so I'm still actively serving, and just want to say that these are my own private experiences and my own private thoughts.
Mm,
This is not anything to originate with the Department of Defense or anything
yeah.
service related. But my journey. So I'm from a long lineage of Army veterans.
Mm,
My father was a veteran, my uncle, my grandfather. So I'm an Army brat. So 18 years old, trying to figure my life out, just pretty much like any other 18-year-old. And September 11th happened.
mm,
Um, I don't want to say I was real patriotic and I had this calling, but there was something in me that felt like I needed to serve. So I was in college at the time, doing IT. So walked by the recruiter's office one day, and the guy pulled me in, and that's where it started. So I came in the Army as a 25 Bravo. So that's the information system specialist. So I did IT, um, and it was tough.
yeah.
Uh, it was a real struggle for that transition coming from being a kid that didn't know pretty much how to budget, didn't know a whole lot about life, um, to come into a well-oiled machine that expected a lot out of you from day
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of struggle, but through it all, I was able to learn a lot. Um, the trials and tribulations is what shaped me to the man, to the person I am now, and I'm still going through those struggles,
Mm,
uh, them struggles today. So to kind of give you a little snapshot, I started out enlisted. I went from E1 to E7, and then I got the opportunity, and I was blessed that someone saw something in me that I didn't see in myself and gave me the opportunity to go green to gold. And for those that don't know what green to gold is, it's a transition from enlisted to officer. Um, what I want to highlight is the struggle piece, uh,
mm,
because at every stage of my enlisted journey, I had instances to where there was a lot of doubt, whether it was internal or whether it was external. And from
mm,
those that who have served, they know our most precious resource as a non-commissioned officer, as an NCO, is our performance evaluation
yeah.
that pretty much make or break your career.
Yeah.
So, so why I say my journey is unique. at every part of my NCO journey, I had got an evaluation that wasn't indicative of my performance, but it went into my performance file. But the thing that really it was essential for me in that process was going through that process was the results at the end. After each one of those trials, I fought through it and I was rewarded. And now I'm still going through those same trials and tribulations because we know struggle is a lifelong thing. We're never gonna eradicate it.
Yeah. So can I hate to stop you in between, but
Mhm,
I want to go back to when you joined the army.
mhm.
And you said that there were struggles because you said there were some finances, like, can you tell us a little bit about, like give us a little bit more about that? Because I think that's important for a lot of people to hear that when you transition from not knowing, being naive, because I was the same, very naive, didn't know what I was getting myself involved in, and then going into an institution that has already, been ran for many years, all right? And then you're trying to find your way through it. So what were some of the challenges that you faced right out the gate?
So I know a lot of people may resonate with this, and I'm gonna make it real simple. Buying my first vehicle
Mm,
and understanding uh, that process and understanding what your APR is and the different percentage rates and navigating that whole process. I had my father, but at that time he wasn't there with me when I had bought my first car.
yeah.
And being in the
Mhm,
military, you gravitate to your leadership. But if
mhm,
you don't have that leadership, you're out there on your own. So that was my first
mhm.
experience with finances buying my first car. And I had like a uh 20% rate
Oh, wow.
for my first vehicle. So I was paying like 450 for a vehicle as a private E2. So that was one of my hardest lessons at that point was just buying a vehicle.
Yeah. And then I think that speaks to a lot of people. So first Melanie, she said hi,
All
so
right.
hey Melanie, how you doing tonight? Thank you so much for coming in and joining us tonight. Love that you're here. And also we have Glenroy, who is one of our faithful, trusted people who come here, and we were stationed together actually in Vegas. So Glenroy says, I have been there, brother. Only by the grace of God did I make it. And even now, it's by the grace of God. Um, it's a steep learning curve, right? When you don't
It is.
have people who are going to like take your hand, okay, like let's go to the right dealership, or let's make sure these credit cards, because I know for when I enlisted, they were sending me credit cards left and right, and of course I would be filling out a little application, and before I knew it, I had like 10, 15 credit cards, and I'm having to pay this as, like you said, E1, E2. You don't get that much monies to be paying, right? And so, I think that is a great, way to like share with people, like, hey, there is a lot of the struggles that we try to learn, we have to learn and grow through. So Glenroy, thank you so much for being here and for that comment already. So, and then you're saying like the challenges with the you said the EPRs, APRs, which are the enlisted evaluation reports that we have, and they were not actually describing your performance. It
Yes.
was something else. So like tell us a little bit about that too.
Let's dive into it, Rochelle. Let's
Yeah.
dive into it. Because this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what it's about, right? So from a leadership standpoint, and the kind of caveat on what we just spoke about as far as the whole finance piece, right? From a leadership standpoint, that is what is expected of the leader, of a leader as you come into an organization. as a young 18-year-old that's just trying to find his way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone was supposed to gravitate to me, take me by the hand, and really walk me through and be that guide, be that mentor, be that coach.
Yeah.
And throughout my time in the military, and I know a lot of people can attest to this, you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone doesn't have a mentor. I say a small percentage of people have a mentor first coming in the military. And
Mm-hmm.
that time is where it's going to make and break you. And I won't even just say the military. I'll just say an organization as a whole.
Yeah. Agreed.
Someone to take you in and then just show you the ropes. So I didn't have that. So, and I was given a lot of responsibility early because, as I said before, I came from a long lineage of Army veterans. So I kind
Mm-hmm.
of knew, I understood the structure of the military, and I caught on real quick. So I got promoted real fast. And,
Mm.
get promoted fast is a lot of responsibility for me being a 22-year-old E5 sergeant in charge of soldiers
Yeah.
and not having that leadership. And then that goes into the evaluation reports. It's like there's regulations for everything, and you
Mm-hmm.
expect your leaders to understand those regulations and teach you about those
That
regulations.
part right there. Okay. That
But
part.
but we all know that doesn't happen.
Nope.
They expect you to come in, get and just get the running.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't take that step back and do the easy stuff, which is the development piece.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where I say that's where my trials and tribulations and my stumbling started as a young E5 because I
Yeah.
was trying to figure it out by myself. Even though I was
Mm.
asking for help, I was trying to figure it out by myself.
Yeah.
And as a 22-year-old E5, I had a team of 5 people going into Iraq during the surge.
Mm. Oh.
And it was an experience. But that's where I learned where true leadership was by being put in those positions, having to
Mm-hmm.
react on the spot,
Mm-hmm.
being asked those questions of my subordinates, not having the answers and having to find the answers, right?
Right.
And I stumbled, but I
Yeah.
learned,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to
You
kind
know,
of fast, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, no, no. I agree that there is a lot of responsibilities that they place on us when you're in the military. And, and you don't see it coming. Like you're just doing your job. You're just trying to learn the job, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you're the next person up. All right. And so here it is. I'm like, I don't know how to lead all these people. I don't even know how to lead my own self right now. Okay. So
Right,
now I'm expected. And then also now you're going to hold me accountable if these individuals don't get it right either. Right. And
right,
so it's that whole trickle effect. But you're right. Mentorship is so important, especially when you get into like you say, any type of organization, but especially military organization, where at the end of the day, militaries are designed to go to war. Okay. And these are people's lives that are at stake and are at hand. And so we now then bear this, and then it is reflected on our performance reports, even if we ask for help, or even if we step out there and say, you know what, I am not good at this right now. Like, they still know we mark you down. We mark you down. I got so many markdowns, y'all, at the very beginning of my career, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't. You
and
know.
you're right, you don't. And like I said, I want you to picture this. Came in at 18, a 22-year-old, going into a combat environment with
Mhm.
5 people that he is in charge of. So and they're young like me. So I'm really there with my peers, other 18, well, 19, 20, 21-year olds that are like in my nucleus. So and around the same age, my contemporaries. So it was an experience, but I learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I add those to my tool bag. But but what I want to say is that um, you can't expect leadership to always come to you.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's something that you just have to go out and seek,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not necessarily seeking a person,
Yeah.
because one thing people don't like to do is read.
Mm.
Reading is the fundamental
It's
thing.
reading is fundamental. Okay.
It's the
Yes.
fundamental thing that is going to get you to where you need to be the quickest. And
Yeah.
that was my guiding light was reading the regulations and really consuming the information, and then behind it applying it. And
Mm.
that was from the military to business,
Yep.
and now being a professor. You're
Yeah.
constantly learning, you're constantly reading, you're constantly growing.
Yeah. And I think that, you have that mindset being a lifelong learner and, wanting to find out how to be better because that's, I think that's a challenge for a lot of times, we're living in a world where there's a lot of distractors, right? And so there's a lot of consumption of social media, right? And
Right,
so, you know, what we have on social media may not get you where you need to be. Like, sometimes it's just a hardcover book that has the wisdom or the knowledge and the steps and the processes to get you to where you need to go. And I
exactly.
agree wholeheartedly. It is fundamental, like to a lot of things. And when you're in leadership positions, the knowledge that you have, it's for the betterment for everyone around you as well, so they get to see it for their own selves instead of just off the cuff, because I have had, plenty of leaders who just randomly just talking about something and I'm like, is that true? And then you go look it up and you're like, that's not right. Why would
Right,
you lead people astray like that,
right,
and
right.
so, learning more, growing, growth should be one of those words that automatically comes to mind when you're evolving, because I think that's what happens when you're in the military too. Each step of the way, each rank, each title, each position, it's an evolution, right? You
It
learn
is.
from where you were at, and then you're now growing to the next level. Then you get to the next level, and then you're drawing from the experiences from each one of those. So the struggles are real, though. I feel you when you say these struggles because they are, and you're saying also that you're still in the struggle.
Oh, for sure. For sure. The struggle never ends. So, the kind of fast track, um, as an E5, like I said, I got promoted pretty quick, went to E6. And as I told you, I read a lot. I read a lot. And like you said, you can't always believe what someone tells you based off of their position. And
Mm-hmm.
this is why we always say leadership isn't a title. It isn't
Mm-mm.
a position. Leadership is an act.
Is an act.
It's what you see.
Mhm,
It's how you make people feel.
mhm. Yeah.
So, and I had a lot of people that were in a position to where they had the influence on my
Mhm.
career,
Mm.
as a lot of us are in those
Mhm.
positions or were in those positions.
Yeah.
So right, wrong, or indifferent, they had the power over my evaluation. So from E6, I got a bad evaluation.
Mm.
Um, but the thing is, still got promoted in the secondary zone. E7, I got a bad evaluation. Still got recommended for green to gold. As an officer, didn't get a bad evaluation, but I still face those struggles from my enlisted past because they never
Mm.
go away. They just, like you said, they just evolve.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. I'm sorry. When you think about, like certain points in your career, like that was just like a aha moment for me because it is. They do somewhat follow you, right? And they can play into the future in some way, shape, or fashion. Um, and I never really understood that. You know what I mean? Like, what we bringing up this for? That happened 10, 15 years ago. And now we still talking about that? Like that's where we're at, you know? So, Glenn Roy also has another comment. He says, there's nothing like a leader that expects you to follow even when they don't know how to read the map that's been provided, i.e., not knowing the regulations in their context. Well, you
100%
know Glenn Roy as much as
agree.
I do what that is. So, yeah.
100% agree. 100% agree. And what I want to kind of say about the evaluation piece and those that have been in the military, we know how precious those are. Even I
Yeah.
think on civilian world as well,
Yeah.
is that it wasn't that the evaluation followed me or the reputation within that sphere of time followed me. It
Yeah.
was the struggle piece that followed me. It was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm elevating, right? Which is one of in my rise. The E means to elevate.
Yeah.
As a leader, you have to elevate. So I
That's
continue
right.
to elevate, but the struggle intensifies with it.
Mhm.
So I have to evolve with it, right?
Mhm.
But as I evolve and continue to do and work hard and do the right things, right, I'm still met with this adversity.
Yeah.
And then it happens again. So in your mind, it consciously and mentally takes you to a place to where it's like, okay, you second guessing and you're not really understanding the why behind it. So that
Mm.
goes into the R in rise is to reflect. You always have to be self-reflecting.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I always trigger every day is I self-reflect
Yeah.
before the day starts and when the day ends. I'm gonna go
So
into
when
this day.
when did that happen? When did that happen for you? Like the self-reflection. Do you recall a time in your career where you start to use that concept? Or was it just something that you have learned over the years and just said, okay, that's something that I might not have been doing very well? Like, because I'm interested in what your journey is with that.
Okay, so with me, I always tell people, and I'm like real transparent for all the people that know me that's watching out there. I'm real transparent with my journey because I own it,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I had a lot of struggle in my journey. So when there's a lot of struggle, a lot of adversity, of course you're gonna always self-reflect and make sure, okay, is it me? Am I doing something? Do I
Hmm.
need to change something? And sometimes you do need to tweak things when you get advice from people that you trust.
Yeah.
But at every point in my journey, I was met with adversity or resistance.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the point that you're talking about, the point as far as my reflection was when I was on a deployment one time.
Hmm.
And I had a leader that was always on my case. No
Hmm.
matter what I did, no matter how much comfort or support that I provided that person,
Yeah.
I could never get to a point to where our personalities or our values align.
Right.
And so I started to, second guess and self reflect to make
Hmm.
sure that I exuded that energy that I wanted.
Right.
So that was kind of the point. And make a long story short about that is it wasn't me. It
Yeah.
was the leader. And fortunately, for that specific instance, that leader was removed, and I was able to move forward and um, have a good rest of the deployment. But
Yeah.
that's kind of where it started for me to trigger the reflection piece, because um, when you go through things, you start to second guess yourself and
Oh
think,
yeah.
okay, is it me? So that was why I always put that self reflection, and then that goes back into the growth mindset. You have to consistently self reflect, grow, and take in those criticism or the constructive criticism, and take what is valued and
Yeah.
apply it, and what isn't, um, continue to move forward.
Yeah. And you're right too. Like there are times when you're working with someone and they're a little different than what you are, of course. And you're just like, am I doing something wrong here? Like, am I off the rocker? I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Right. So then it does that second guessing, going over the replay. I remember I would replay conversations over and over again in my head. Like, what did I say in this moment? Like, what was the tone? What was the energy behind it? What was I going through? If there was some other factor that played into it, because sometimes we be off, and we don't even recognize that because we're just thinking ourselves like we know it. So I love that R is reflection. And what is the I in the S?
So the I is inspire.
Inspire. Yeah, I love that word. So tell us a little bit about that too, because some people use words interchangeably. Like they'll say inspire, motivate, encourage, and all these other things. So why did you specifically pick inspire?
Because that is a core leadership principle of mine.
Mm,
And I attribute all my success to my ability to connect with people
yeah,
at the lowest level. That's the only reason that I was able to be as successful as I was in the
yeah,
military or just in life.
yeah,
Because my ability to inspire and my ability to serve.
yeah,
Servant leadership has always been the principle that I always gravitated to, and I
yeah.
studied really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But as we were talking before we came on, traditional leadership is kind of outdated
Yeah.
because times are evolving now,
Yep.
um, and we're getting away from the human aspect.
Yeah.
Everything with technology, and so I'm kind of rethinking and revamping what leadership really is based
Yeah.
on where we're at right now.
Oh yeah. Like that's a space that I'm in right now too, as we were talking before, is the rebranding of the leadership identity. Because once was, the picture or the image of a leader in the realm for which we were in. And now fast forward, when you say we inject all these things into play, you know leadership is expressed in many different ways now. And as we were talking, like podcasting is a means of inspiring through a vehicle. It is a tool to, because people are listening to podcasts now. I mean, like,
Yes,
so how you can do that differently, and recognizing which aspects of leadership can you continue to move forward with, and which ones do you have to say that it was for that time and it worked well then, but it may not be worked well in this time that we're moving into. Glenroy has a comment here for us. He says, "Brother, you are telling my story. From the military to my re-entry into the civilian world, I think that this journey is similar to Black male professionals when our abilities make people in our organizations uncomfortable. We get painted as villains, and the organizational lens that we are seen through is filled with a haze of negative retort." And I will say, his comment, Glenroy's comment, I'll leave it up here for a little bit. Is one of the things that I started to see towards the end of my career. And, when this whole, like, George Floyd, and, they wanted to see the records of the administrative actions that were being taken, because everybody now trying to do DEI, like all of a sudden now we turn the head on that. And then it was very much blatant. It was blatant, like who was getting administrative action, right? And whose careers were being um affected negatively, like more negatively than others. And I really thought it attributed to the lack of mentorship, the lack of knowledge, the lack of access, right, to certain, whatever that is, opportunities or insight to allow people to see themselves in this process, because I didn't have anyone who looked like me, because I retired as a chief at E9, and I didn't see anyone look like me until I was halfway in my career.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
it made a huge difference for me when I saw her, because I was like, she can do it. I think I can do it too. But
Right.
before then, I was just a mess. I was just trying to figure it out on a daily basis. But she allowed me to sit with her and allowed me to ask questions and allowed me to like make mistakes. And she was there to help me to see through, like, hey, you might want to think about this. So I think that, there will be a lot more stories about this in particular, what Glenroy was saying. Um, because there's a lot more that plays into how people see us, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right. And I'll even spin it this way. So I spent my first 10 years as being the EO for my
Mm,
unit. So I
mm,
wasn't an equal opportunity advisor for like an actual um we call it a brigade size element, but I was the for my company, for my small group of people, I was the EO. So I did a lot of focus groups.
yeah, and for those
And
that don't know what EO is the equal opportunity um, department or section or however they call it.
yep, so we had a lot of talks about diversity, inclusion, um, working in a hostile work environment. So I led a
Mhm,
lot of those discussions. I heard a
mm,
lot of different spin on that. So one thing I always for me, I'm real values based, right? So
mhm.
um, I'm big on living those values, incorporating those values in everything I do, and living by that,
Yeah,
right, wrong, or indifferent.
right.
So when it comes to um, being viewed in a certain way, I really don't focus on that piece too much. Um, I just put my head down, do the work, and make sure I'm uplifting the ones around me.
Mm,
Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, we are the 99 percenters, right?
yeah,
From an NCO standpoint, we were the backbone.
that's right.
On the civilian side, the workforce, we are the backbone.
Mhm.
And as long as we're able to align and be like-minded and share those same values, I think we would shape the environment. And
Yeah,
that's kind of where my leadership model is targeting the 99% and how us as people can hold people in those positions and shape them into leaders. You know
yeah,
how they have top down leadership, this is
yeah,
bottom up leadership, and
yeah,
kind of a model. So from that aspect, I have seen it uh, from a from uh, from a hindrance standpoint. I have seen the disparities on how people shape passion versus someone being aggressive,
yeah,
and the different shades of it. But from my journey, I've seen that as long as I perform, as long as I continue to force multiply, and greatness is around me,
mm,
things happen. Great things
mm,
happen. Great things have
mm,
happened.
yeah.
Um,
I love that 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 whole thought and that aspect of, you know, greatness, and performing this excellence, right? We always, and I know this speaks true to many people who view the show. We have operated in excellence for many a years, right? Because we have surrounded ourselves. We sought out and we started surrounding ourselves with the right people, with the right level of wisdom, the right level of reasoning and rationale, so that way we can find ourselves into this space where people are coming to us now and wanting to know how they can move forward, how they can, like deal with the situation that they may have or whatnot. So I love, that about, the leadership of, you know, being great, surrounded in greatness, So Johnny's here today too. Hey Johnny, how you doing
Oh, what's
tonight?
up, Johnny?
Listen, he got fire bombs and everything. Like,
That's
yeah.
my guy. That's my guy right there. That's my mentor right there.
Listen, Johnny, you showing up. Johnny on the spot. Okay. We love that you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in on the show tonight. But yeah, I know that, there's so many forms of leadership. There's so many ways that we can, show up and be a better human being, really, in the world that we are living in today. So, like, tell us a little bit about like your wellness, because that's one of the things we talk about here on this show. I am unapologetically, I tell people about my wellness journey and whatnot, and kind of how do I ground myself through all the chaos and the confusion that may be going on. So are there some practices that you use on a regular basis to help you?
Rochelle, I'm probably not the best person to ask that question, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it a try
He's being honest, y'all.
because and that goes back into the continuous growth piece of it, right? The work
Yeah,
life balance piece.
yeah,
Keeping your cup full,
yes,
right?
yes, that's
Because
it.
that's one thing that I struggle with, right? And I talk to my wife about this all the time. Shout out to my wife; she's a social worker. She listen to me vent every day. Is
Yes.
I always pour so much into people and leave little for myself. That
Mm.
that self care piece is something I struggle with all the time,
Well,
all the time.
okay, before we go to that,
Hmm.
Glenn Rory has a comment. You have greatness within you and a responsibility to manifest that greatness. And that's Les Brown. So, yes,
Sure,
yeah, it is something that we can talk about all day, every day. But yeah, we all have it in us. It's just how much do you tap into it and bring it out?
there it is. There
I
it
mean,
is. There
some
it
folks just
is.
don't want to. So I'm like, you have the ability to do it just as well as I do. So let's just see what we could do together, right?
But
Like,
but but you got but there's levels to it, right?
yeah.
Just like when I first came in the military, I didn't know what I had in me. And the thing is,
Hmm.
some people we all start at different wavelengths, right? So
Yeah.
and we all have different things that get us to tick. We all come from different beginnings,
Yeah.
right? I was fortunate enough to have a dad that worked hard, that showed me what work ethic was, and a grandfather who started out as a farmer, was drafted, came back, bought land, and set our family up for success, right?
Right.
And back in the 20s and 30s, where we didn't really own land like that, right?
Nope.
So I was able to have a little bit like in my DNA and
Yeah.
just seeing a little bit. Others don't have that, but that's why leadership is just so important to
Mm,
help people tap into that and to be
yeah.
able to believe in themselves.
Yeah. I think that's the part right there, to believe in themselves. Because sometimes people don't really, want to bet on themselves for anything because they don't know exactly how to and what that looks like for them. And that's what this is something that a leader, a true leader, can start to tap to see, hey, okay, like, let's see what you're good at, like, let's nurture that. Let's like grow that. Let's find other ways where you can express that, because you have to take those additional steps further. You just can't just be like, well, they don't know what they talk, I can't do nothing with them. I'm just like there,
But that goes into leadership and
yeah,
people really understanding what leadership is, because leadership is about empowering. It's not
empowering.
about giving orders and telling people go
No,
here, go to A, go to B, then go to Z. It's about empowering people. But
yeah,
then at the beginning, it's about the development piece. You
yeah,
develop, give them rope, empower them,
yeah,
and then see what the result is. And then do that cycle over and over and over again until they develop that self-confidence.
yeah.
But
So,
we have an issue with the development piece. We don't want
yeah.
to take the time to do the development piece.
Yeah. So I'm very curious, and I'm going to go back to the wellness here in a little bit because
Okay.
we're not going to. We're not gonna just like
You saw how I tried to transition to
like
that?
no, no. Like I already know what's going on. Like no, we will go back to that. But you know, it's interesting. Like we have both like talked about the evolution of leadership. Like what is that next? Because the words empowerment, and development, and all those things. Do you think those words or those concepts will still be like in the next 5 to 10 years? Like where we're going now. Like I'm trying to do a little bit more research on, what is like our sons, daughters, how they're at the age eight. You have 18, 15, and 6, right?
Right.
So, I have a 15-year-old. It's like, what will they face? What,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like how will they be taught? What is the leadership concept that they will um start to develop and nurture for them? Like that's where I'm kind of seeing, because I'm like, all this stuff here, I don't even know, because in our day, like halfway in my career was like empathetic leadership, like we got to be kinder, we got to be softer, we've got to be more mindful. Okay, like those type of words started to really come out. And so I'm like, well, what words are going to be used in the next 10, 15 years? I'm very curious. So anyway, that's just a thought. That's just a thought out there.
so for our kids, it's definitely going to be tough with the information age, and this is why I say this, because of AI. So AI should be used as a tool,
Yeah.
right, to help us
Yeah.
get to elevate our economic and social well-being, right?
Right.
But is more so being used to define who we are,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
people are um engulfing technology as part of who they are, based
Mm-hmm.
off of likes and what
Mm-hmm.
people say, and because you're able to reach out and touch people via the internet now. When I
Yeah.
was coming up, we didn't have that much technology. We was going out, we was having social interactions with people,
Yeah.
uh, and we was limited to the amount of information that we had to process on a daily basis.
That's right.
What our kids are doing now, they're processing a lot of information on, and some of the information is bad information,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
right? And it's uncontrolled information.
Yeah.
So I think from a leadership standpoint, we're gonna have to battle. We're battling technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll be the race to, like where's the human going to be in any of this, right? Like how's the human touch going to show up in the new age world?
Right.
And Glenroy also said, being a good human being is paramount to being a good leader. Okay. There are so
I
many
mean,
people in leadership that do not appear or behave like good human beings.
you're right. You're
He
right.
is right. I
You're
mean,
right.
and who's calling them out and tells them they're not a good human being? So
Right. And as I told you, I'm a student of leadership.
yeah.
I read every day, whether it's an article, whether it's a book,
Yep.
or just life in general. 'Cause based off my conversation, I have lots of conversations.
Yeah.
I'm a debater.
Yeah.
I love to grow. I love to hear other people's perspectives.
Yep.
I say, like you said, LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn every day, hearing stories,
Yep.
um, and just taking it all in, right?
Yep.
And this is why, and now I'm coming up with, like I said, we're going into this information age. So leadership is evolving. How is it evolving? So
Yeah.
came up with this framework. It's called human infrastructure leadership, meaning systems are replacing people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we evolve with the systems?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is again that's going to be like this question mark of, you know, trying to figure out and finding the balance, between all of that, because I think it's as I continue to and like you, I love the art and science of leadership. I just love, if anybody sends me a leadership article, I'm like, yeah, let me read that. Let me see what that's all about, right? I'm very intrigued by it. And Glenroy says that lateral leadership is now what is influential within organizations. So, you
So that's
know,
interesting.
it is interesting. Like let's just like talk about this for a second. Lateral leadership, and I've never heard um that he's going to tell, okay, no one wants to feel like they are being told what to do or told how to do things. People feel very exhausted from being leaders from the rear. Leading laterally, we have the same vantage point of those we are leading. Our experiences and knowledge base are defined enough to provide articulate and trustworthy guidance. So, you know, is that's more of a peer to peer?
Having a shared understanding from so how I view things now, right? And I kind of group things into different categories, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I'm not gonna, go through a whole exhaustive thing because, like I said, this is still a developing theory of mine. So I have like I got four different classes
yeah,
of leadership, right?
yeah,
From how we are moving towards how we are evolving. And they're all interchangeable, but they all have leadership responsibilities and impacts at different levels.
yeah,
So I saw his passage about lateral leadership.
yeah,
So um I won't say lateral. I'm not saying lateral leadership. I'm just saying leadership from a different aspect. So, for example, so I have a group called architects, right? So they're the ones who pretty much are at the top of the spear. They're the tip
mhm,
of the spear. They're the ones who make the policy. They're the ones who um, shape us from a macro economic, social. They shape how we operate in the world.
yeah,
So they are the architects, right?
yeah,
And then we have the illuminators, who are us, the podcasters, the
yeah,
teachers. We are the
yeah,
ones that are on ground level, building and holding those architects accountable. And we're
yeah,
building the next generation of leaders.
yeah,
So I look at it as a hierarchical thing as far as
yeah.
leadership.
Hmm.
And there are nuances, like I said, there are nuances in it, but that's how I kind of look at leadership now as it evolves because, like I said, technology is taking um, a lot of the intimate interactions out of it of leadership.
Yeah,
And the framework that I'm trying to build is trying to keep that intimacy
yeah,
using technology.
yeah, yeah. And I see that. I'm gonna be very interested in it. Listen, like in the works you do, I'm like, what we doing in here, Henry? I want to know more. He said it could be peer to peer, but with subordinates, you have to lift them up in their positions in order for them to have a sense of importance within the team and mission. You have to lift them up in their positions. Yeah, and I agree with that too. Again, there's a balance, right? Because sometimes, and it's not for everyone because I used to have like 40-year-olds, all right, that were E4s that they just came into the military later in life.
Right.
And they have all this knowledge and experience and insight more so than the 18-year-old like myself, that just came in, right? And using them appropriately within the organization and not really based on the rank, the title, or whatever they got going on, but it was, we now leverage your knowledge and your experiences. So we're going to waive this whole like you are E1, E2 off of here. Okay. Like, and so now we're going to put you over here so that way you can bring more value, add more value because you have that. So, I think in a lot of different ways of, it's each person, like you have to assess each person and what they have done, like again, the 18-year-old that it just came in and is just trying to figure it out. You don't want to put them in charge of programs just yet, or like multi-million dollar, equipment. It's just
Right.
something that they have to learn and grow in. But if somebody was running their business prior to come into the military, and I mean, I'm sure they already got that. So
Right.
it's in each person's, instead of grouping everybody and saying, okay, well, y'all over here and E1s, E2s only do this, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of things that go into leadership. I already knew we were going to come to the top of the hour. I did, because just the way we have like a 2 or 3 hour conversation in here, y'all, because
But I did.
this
Hey,
is what we
this is
do.
what we do. This
This
is
is
what
what
I
we
do
do.
all day, every day.
Yeah,
I talk.
like
I talk.
so. Okay, so let's just talk about wellness for just a hot second, all
Let's
right?
do it.
Because
Let's do it.
I'm gonna go back there now. You say your wife gets on you, and she probably does, because she is a social worker and she knows and understands full well like how important it is. So this your struggle that you shared with us is that you're giving to a lot of people, right? You give to a
Right.
lot of people, and you don't really have anything for you when it'll pour back into you. So, like, what are we gonna do to fix that?
So so this is kind of my routine. So I wake up about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and to kind of give you a snapshot of me right now. So my wife is in DC. She's doing great things up
Oh,
there.
she's
She's in a
here.
Yeah. So and I'm here with the kids, all three of them, all three of my little
Oh,
kids. So
oh
it's so
boy,
so so it's kind of different.
it is different.
Right now. So my kind of routine right now is getting up, picking up the kids, taking them to school. And then the rest of my day is for my wellness piece. I always drink a lot of water,
Yeah.
and I have a routine. Fruit, vitamins, and I do some type of physical fitness. My biggest thing is running.
Yeah. That's a
Um,
that's our common thing. I run almost every day.
yes, but I
Still.
hate it. But
You
but
hate it?
I hate running.
Yeah.
But it allows me to think.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you get tunnel in the house, and you know what I'm saying, for me, I'm a big thinker. It
Yeah.
clears my mind. So when I
Yeah.
sit and think, it gets cloudy. When I run, I'm able to. I don't know, all the medical stuff, but it feels like I'm able to release and think
Yes.
more clearly. So
Yeah.
I try to run 3 to 4 times, 3 or 4 times a week. I'm not a fitness person, but I'm not shabby neither. And plus, I'm still active
You
somewhat.
still
So
active.
I gotta stay tight
Yeah,
somewhat.
that's right. Like, we're not
Um,
gonna give
but
up on that now.
but with age, your body changes.
Your body
So
does.
and this goes back into our earlier point, is like you have to know who you are and know yourself. You got to
Yeah.
know your strengths. You got to know your limitations. You got to be self-aware to accept those, and then you got to always be able to, I guess, evolve. Like we always say, evolve. You're
Yes.
in a consistent, constant state of evolution when it comes to yourself.
Yeah.
So now I'm learning that, like, I can't run as much now. So what else can I do?
Yeah.
To get that wellness piece in. I can't really walk a whole lot now as
Yeah.
much as I want to. So what else do I need to do?
Yeah.
Outside of
That,
eating healthy and doing all those other things. And so that's kind of my struggle right now. With like, okay, how do I really take care of myself so I can
yeah,
continue to pour into people like I want to?
listen, and you're not nowhere near my age, okay? So I just tell you that the body it gets a vote, okay? So every time it gets a vote, I'm like, well, yesterday the vote was this, okay? It was like, yeah, you get all the marks, right? On this side, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, today, no, you over here, okay? Like, your body is not moving as well, and you have to respect that,
Right.
right? But one of the things that I always share is, instead of just saying I not doing anything, you have to find out what that thing is and start to do that. All right. And so the release that you're talking about is, the brain has all these things that is going on. And for me, I've got like 1,001 ideas all day of what I want to do. And so I've got to like run. And then I'm like, okay, like calm down. Like you've got to like sort some things out, but it is a release. And I love the fact that you're still running. Okay, you're not as much, but you because you got a lot, you got a lot going on.
You talking about what?
Not going on.
What?
Right. So they say. So Glenroy says it is basically influence over authority. The trending thing now in our society is being an influencer. And that is 100% true. And now, though, when we're looking at the leadership aspect to that, is you want to make sure that you're putting out information and substance that people can actually learn and grow from. All
Yes.
right. There's there's influencers on any and everything out here. All right. People who's
Right.
trying to sell you products and services, all day, people who are telling you to watch X, Y, and Z and so forth and so on. So understanding the lane in which you have redefined yourself if you're in transition and being an influencer in that, but really studying what that is, right? I think that's important because any person that's trying to do anything different from what they've always done, they have to be able to learn. You have to be able to grow with that. So, and he also says that self reflection is a holistic principle, it's mind, body, and spirit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And it kind of piggyback on the influencer piece. And like I said, this is my perspective on influencing. I'm a big YouTuber too.
Hmm.
And I'm a big YouTuber for the simple fact that, like I said, like to absorb information that relates to what I do.
That's right.
Right. So I'm big on leadership. I'm big on struggle. I'm big on understanding, like I said, my tier system that I'm creating.
Yeah.
So I look at a lot of politics. I look at a lot of teaching leadership. I look at a lot of business leadership. And I'm saying I'm in business. I'm looking at that as well from a business aspect. So I'm looking at all of these different things and encapsulating it. So when I put information out, as like I'm on like on a podcast, I'm not only influencing to be heard,
Mm.
I'm influencing to impact.
Mm.
So that is what influence being the influencer is for me. What
Yes.
impact are you making based off the words that you are
Yes.
providing?
Yes.
So that from an influencer standpoint, everybody's not an influencer
Nope.
because there has to be a message behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
this is kind of go back into the purpose piece of you got to understand what your purpose is. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
what my purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
It was me being able to tap into my purpose and like we said before, on my own terms
That on your own. Yep.
and do it
You know,
my way.
you know, and the other what you just said was powerful because that's what truly differentiates someone just talking and someone talking for people to move in a certain way. And you never know who's watching you. You have no idea of who's taking information in and actually applying that.
Exactly.
When I'm out and about, sometimes people will be like, "Oh my gosh," and they'll say things like, "I watch you all the time," or "I love your LinkedIn post," or I finally meet you in person." That kind of thing. That's what I'm looking. I would feel some sort of a way if someone came up to me and like, listen, whatever you're doing, I don't even know what you're doing. Like that ain't looking right. You know what I mean? But
Right.
we all have our own message. We have our own narratives. We have our
Right.
own unique stories.
Right.
That we can share to help others, and
Right.
it is a gift. To be able to get on it. Not everybody can get on this platform like we're doing right now and go live. Okay, like I have had several people like, nope, I cannot do that. So when you're talking about influencers and illuminators, you know, being
Yes.
able to do this type of work, you have to understand where you're at. You have to
You
understand what you
do.
capable of doing.
You
you
do.
know, and be consistent and show up because, people are looking for us. We have an assignment. I always say that people who come on the show, we all have an assignment. We all have our own communities of people that we are influencing and impacting on a daily basis. So this is about the community circling other communities, right? And ensuring that there are people who are standing up. And I'm telling you, like standing post, like after serving in the uniform, like
Right.
continuing to do that
Yes.
afterwards. And
Yes.
Glenroy again, everyone is not an
Come
influencer.
on, bring
Yeah,
it.
like
Bring it.
Glenroy is like giving us this. He's saying everyone is not an influencer, but everyone has the abilities to influence. We have
Yes.
to be discerning and have a basic understanding of the organization and mission.
Uh,
Yeah,
hey, 100% agree. And kind of go back into my podcast, right? So
yeah,
my podcast is structured for the 99%, right? It's not
mhm,
structured for the 1%
yeah,
that is pretty much running everything. My platform is the voice of the people. How
hmm,
do the 99 percenters turn their struggle, what they see as weakness,
yeah,
what I used to see as weakness when I first started out, and turn that into a strength
yeah,
that builds that resilience, right?
yeah.
That that shows you like you have no limits.
That's right.
That shows you that you are able to influence.
Yeah,
But a lot of that comes from you being in a community of people like you. A lot of people think that it's just me going through this.
yeah,
It's just me feeling this way in your own nuanced struggles, right? So this is where my platform comes in, and I'm bringing people on there that are going through struggles,
yeah,
right? I'm gonna share my experiences, and it's a platform to where we come together and we figure things out.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's
Well,
what I had to do as I came up in the military. I just had to figure it out, and I had my team and I had my people, and that goes back into humility.
mm,
You're
mm,
not gonna know everything.
mm.
This is why you got to tap into your network. Your network is your net worth. My
Yeah,
podcast is my network. It is my network.
it
A piece
is.
of my network.
That's right.
Because I'm gonna
Eh,
learn and grow as I'm pouring into other people.
Listen,
As we're doing here.
as we're doing here, and you know what? I mean, that was the main reason why I made this show. The main reason, because I didn't know what I didn't know when I retired. I had no idea, and I was like, I'll just invite people who are like-minded and who just even say, hey, let's just talk about this. Okay. And I have learned so much that is
Yes.
incredible for you just to talk to someone, listen to what they have to say, get them to share and being able to like now. So because at the end of the day, like I don't know your thoughts, but my thought is generational impact. All right.
Yes. It's
That is
legacy.
always the in
Legacy.
my head, right? Like generational impact, whether or not you are in my bloodline or not. All
Yes.
right. The brothers and sisters that I've been able to either serve with, work with, or whatever case may be, we have changed the way to change the trajectory of how the next generation will show up. All right. It ain't all about me per se. I'm taking the information, knowledge, and experiences that I have over the years, and now I am pushing that out and hope that people will start to make decisions differently,
Right.
because it doesn't have to be what it's always been. For many of the people's families that I know, because my dad, again, he was on the farm too. He was a sun up, sundown kid, all right, on the tobacco farm, one of 14, and he had to make a life, and he went into the military himself and became an eh, became an entrepreneur, doing all these different things. And
Right.
I kind of just saw how his journey was, and I was like, how can I make it better?
And that's what it's about. And to kind of feed off of that, um, like my dad was raised in the projects.
Mhm.
He lived with his grandmother. He kind of bounced a little bit, and that could have been his life,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you know, that's a story of a lot of people that look like us.
Yeah.
We get tunneled, we get stovepipe into that type of environment, and we stay in that environment because it's comfortable,
It's comfortable.
right? But he took a chance, he took a risk,
Yeah.
and he went into the unknown, which was the for him the military,
Yeah.
which he created a life for us. He could have
Yeah.
created a life for us in that environment. And my conversation with you may or may not be happening, or it could be in a different context, right? So it's the little things moving the next generation forward. He moved my generation forward because of what he did.
Mm.
So now it's like, okay, how can I continue to keep that going? And it doesn't have to be an order of magnitude, a historic move. It could be just a small movement, a small gift to the next generation. And that's what I'm doing in real estate.
Yeah.
For my family and for the veterans and the first time homeowners that I'm supporting is, and like I said, everything with me has meaning. So my business, our values is life, liberty, and legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You live the
Yeah.
life that you want to live on your own terms,
That's right.
and you leave behind what you built.
Yeah.
Is the legacy piece. So, and we're affording people through home ownership, because that's one of the biggest things right now in our economy is affordable housing.
That's right.
Affordability as a whole, but affordable housing. So that's our gift. That is the thing that we want to give, and have our legacy be is
Yeah.
it's me, my dad, and my sister. We built this business from the ground up, um, and that is our legacy piece, because we're
Mm.
veterans.
Yeah.
We want to continue to serve veterans because we know how hard it is and how hard it is for the transition as well. And we also want to serve first-time homeowners because we know it's hard now with the interest rates the way they are to find affordable housing. And your first home doesn't have to be a 5 bedroom, 3 bath. It could be a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. You,
That's
you gotta
right.
you gotta crawl before you can walk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So and that's kind of like everything we do has for me has to have meaning. It has to have impact. That's where I'm at in my life.
Yes.
Cause I served for 20 plus years. Um, and every day I gave 100%, whatever 100% I had for that day. But I did it for the people I served with, but I did it for an organization,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But now I'm doing things on my terms for me, for my
That's right.
legacy, for my
That's right.
impact.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping and praying that everyone can do for themselves. Get to a point where they get to live out their passions.
Yes.
They have their time freedom.
Yes.
So
Listen, you we are talking the same stuff. I'm just like, where you been, Henry? Okay, where you been? All right, like
I've
this is
been I've been I've been on ground. I've
yeah,
been
you've
on
been
ground. I've
around,
been
you know,
and struggling on ground and struggling.
because
The
this is
struggle is real.
exactly what I talk through. It's like as much as that we had to do, and now we get to serve in a different way.
Yes,
The meaning behind what we do, right? Like it has to have something else.
it
And
does.
so that's how I wanted this next to be. And that's how I'm living too. It's just like I'm showing people that you don't have to just go and just do what the society has said. Hell, you government, you go into a government job. Oh, you can get this CEO job over here, or you can get this management, and so forth. I'm like, that's not kind of what I want to do now. Like, I've been there,
Right.
I've done that. Like, I want to use those tools for something else, that I'm going to build, that I'm going to help more people with. And Glenn Roy has also said humility is a key component of progression and success. And he also said that that is an Air Force principle that is unwritten. Just because it's always been done like that does not make it the right way to continue to do so. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
for
yeah,
sure.
this
Oh man, I got tons of stories for that.
we all do.
I hate that cliche. This is how we always did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, It's not gonna change. Um,
Oh God.
but but the thing is, you have to make some people. You have to make believers out of them. You have to show them that it's something different for them to believe it, and for them to, you know,
Yeah.
have to have the confidence to try new things, to get out of their comfort zones.
Yeah.
They have to see
Yeah.
that it's possible. So,
Yeah.
I took those things on, like just like you said, as a badge of honor to change.
Yeah.
You said that we couldn't get this. Oh no, I'm gonna get that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because you said it, whether we need or not.
You never need it
That's
or
what I
not.
said.
I'm
Just
about to
because
go
you
get
think
it.
that way, I'm gonna make sure it happens.
You're right. That's what we do.
We
Okay.
have we have we have to be transcend. We have to be transcended. We have to be.
Yeah, I agree. And the more and more that we put ourselves out here, I think that a lot more people see that in themselves too. Like we gotta step it up. We gotta level up just a little bit more on what we do, how we do it, how we show up in the world today. And like I
Right.
said, we could go on and on and on, but I am very mindful of your time because as we get into the evening on Sunday night, we try to get ready for the week. Okay, you got a 6-year-old, so I mean, you can't. The 18 and 15, they usually
Yep.
they good to go. Okay, but the 6-year-old, they
Oh
need a
yeah.
little bit
Oh
more.
yeah.
Okay,
Gotta lay him down.
yeah, you got to lay
Yeah.
him down. So, um, so we have had a really great conversation, and I definitely want you to come back for like a part two
Oh, for
here in the
sure.
future so we can, find the updates of what you got going on and how, everything has progressed over the next few months. But, you did talk about life, liberty, and legacy. Like that was the foundations of your business. So my question for every guest that comes onto the show is about legacy. And so that's
Okay.
just, that's again another sign that we are in alignment. Um, so, every day, what I strive to do or what I'm trying to do, and I wouldn't say try, what I am doing, okay, is making sure that when I have this 80th birthday party, like if God gives me 80 years, I'm going to have a birthday party. All right. And there are certain things that I want my family and friends to say about me. All
Mhm.
right. And so, what if you got 80 years or get the 80 years, what would you want your family and friends to say about you on your birthday?
The first thing I want them to say is that he was authentic.
Mm,
That's the very first thing. Um, and that he lived out his dream. That he
mhm.
made the impact that he said he was gonna make on the world.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I always hold to my heart is I want to be authentic to myself. I want to be transparent. I want to connect, and I want to leave a lasting impact to the next generation.
Yeah. Well, that's I'm sure going to be what they say for sure. Just based on our conversation that we had right now, it's just a lot. To be, not seeing ourselves because we see ourselves in different ways. I think, but as you grow older, you start to really see like the truest parts of yourself and be able to articulate that much better than we did when we were younger.
For sure.
Um, and so I do want to thank the following people. We had Jennifer Hanks, Melanie Richards, Glenn Roy, and Johnny, who
Yep.
showed up
Yep.
with us live on the Slate to Success talk show. And so thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Henry, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for your service. All right. Thank you for holding it down out there. And y'all, he's in Georgia. So if anybody's in Georgia, look up Henry, especially in the real
That's from
estate.
Georgia.
Yeah, like if you looking for home veterans, okay, if you're transitioning or going to Georgia, retiring in Georgia, you want to contact Henry, okay? No one else. All right, so just make sure we look on the LinkedIn and you'll see his information there. Connect with him, get in touch with him. How else can they get in touch with you if they're looking for someone to help them out?
So You can contact me through LinkedIn, Facebook, REI Houdini, or on TikTok, Rise and Grind Podcast, and Instagram as well. Same name, REI Houdini. So those are the ways to get in contact with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here on this show tonight. Of
I
course, you
appreciate it.
slayed it. All right.
My
And
slay
so,
queen, you gotta bring me back, man. I love this. This was the vibe
yes,
that I expected. Let's
yes, we
go.
got to
Let's
do this
get it.
again. Like, I'm like,
Let's keep it going.
we got to keep it going, right? Y'all, we will be back here next Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Slate to Success Talk Show. Or you can find me on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Rise and Slay morning show, where I talk about all things branding. So if you don't know what it is, you're like interested in, you're like, I want to do more, I want to be more, like, come by, come through. I got little things that we talk about, little tips of advice to give you as you're in your journey. And as always, keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.